General, when C.W. Borklund wrote his book, Military Leaders Since World War II, he listed you among 10 other important generals and admirals. What was your reaction?
My basic reaction was one of flattery that I would be put in such a high category as Generals Ridgway, Powell, and Abrams, Admirals Artie Burke and Thomas Moore. My second reaction was a pleasant surprise that Borklund recognized that military leadership is necessary in peacetime as well as war. Both in peace and war, you need professionalism, a dedication, and a high degree of ethics.
Borklund wrote that part of your leadership skill was due to your expertise in decision-making. You wrote your PhD thesis on the categories of decisions that large organizations must make. How did your time at NATO as Chief of Staff for Supreme Allied Headquarters Europe, or SHAPE, influence your ideas about decision-making?
My experience at NATO showed me that there were three basic categories of decision-making. The first were decisions that had to be made in type of crisis, such as the defection of Malta from NATO. These decisions had to be made in a hurry and under stress, and were usually the easiest to make. The second were harder, and those were a basic change in strategy, such as a change in nuclear strategy from one of nuclear retaliation to flexible response. These required political as well as military changes, and were therefore somewhat harder to make. The third type of change was a basic change in organization. These were hardest to make because over a period of time there's turf battles set in, division rivalries, and an entrenchment of views which makes the organization take on a culture of its own.
More than 2 decades after the end of the Cold War, are there any, as you call them, second category changes NATO needs to make?
With the dissolution of the Soviet Empire in 1991, NATO's mission was basically accomplished. Over the past 2 decades, NATO has been moving into various areas around the world to see where it could stabilize world peace. This needs further refinement, probably needs a mission statement such as the Harmel Report of 1967.
Your career involved high-level positions in the Army, at NATO, and as an ambassador. Did you identify any common thread of third category issues between these different organizations?
The third category issues were the same in the different organizations. They all seem to resist change because of these entrenched views, turf battles, and rivalries among individuals.
Do your decision-making categories apply to organizations outside of government?
Yes, I believe they apply equally in all three categories. The basic difference is that with non-governmental organizations do not have a profit motive, whereas the corporations profit motives, the need to make a profit usually result in decisions being forced upon the organization by bankruptcy or takeover by government.
Well, General, thank you.
You're welcome.